Have you ever eaten a pear? What's the one part you don't usually eat, or you spit out if you do? It's the seeds, right? The inside of a pear contains seeds that the flower made. Now, to help you see how this happened, let's watch a sped up video showing the flowers on the pear tree. This video has been sped up over 2 months. Let's watch. First, we see that the petals fall off the flowers. Okay. Now, let's focus on this flower. Watch what it does over 2 months' time. Okay, I'm going to pause and let's zoom in on this one and we'll keep watching it. Now, where the arrow is pointing shows where the petals on the flower used to be until they fell off. Let's keep watching what it does over 2 months. Did you see that? It turns out that the flowers on the tree turn into pears, and the pears contain the seeds on the inside. But did you notice that the whole flower didn't turn into a pear? Just one part of the flower turned into a pear. What part of the flower turned into the pear? You've already learned how flowers need to get pollinated. That's what has to happen in order for plants to create seeds. But once a flower gets pollinated, what's going on inside the flower exactly? Why is it that the flower getting pollen on its sticky stigma causes it to form a seed pod? Scientists got curious and so wanted to look inside the part that contains the sticky stigma. They cut open that middle part of the flower. They dissected it. And inside there, at the bottom of that long stalk that has the sticky stigma on the end, here's what it looks like when they cut it open. They found out that before a flower gets pollinated, there are tiny little eggs in there. You heard me right. I said eggs. These are plant eggs. Plants have eggs, just like many animals do too. Now, the fancy Latin word for eggs is ova. So the part containing the eggs, which we might call an egg chamber, well, scientists call it the ovary. When a flower gets pollinated, pollen travels down from the sticky stigma into the egg chamber or ovary and combines with the eggs inside there. It's only once the pollen reaches the eggs that now they begin to develop into seeds, which can grow into new plants. So a plant's ovary or egg chamber, this middle part of the flower that's down below the sticky stigma, once pollen gets down in there, that becomes the plant's seed pod. But with a pear flower, something extra happened. Not only did the eggs in the pear flower's ovary become seeds, but the ovary itself swelled up into sweet, tasty stuff which surrounds the seeds. That's the pear fruit. The same thing happens with other fruits you know, such as an apple. Apple flowers start out like this, but once pollen gets onto the eggs inside their ovaries, they drop their petals, and the ovary of each flower swells up into an apple. Next time you eat an apple, stop and think about where the flower petals used to be. You know this is the stem. That's the part that grew off the branch. Notice how it's woody. And then if we look on the other end of the apple, we can see where the flower petals were. You can even see some leftover of them. You can use your imagination then and picture how the apple is just part of the apple tree flower. The flower petals were right here. And this part, what you call the apple itself, is the flower's ovary. Inside the apple, we see the seeds which were growing inside the ovary. Let's check out one more example of a fruit you know. See this flower? You can see the ovary is starting to swell up. Can you tell what it's going to be? Let's fast forward a few months later when the flower has dropped its petals and the flower's ovary has fully swelled up. Are you ready? It's a watermelon. Crazy. Did you know that watermelons begin as flowers? Yep, every fruit begins as a flower. And don't forget, flowers are seed makers. You can see the seeds of the watermelon right here. In fact, you can always tell if something is a fruit by cutting it open and looking for seeds. A fruit is a tasty container full of seeds. But not all plants grow tasty containers around their seeds. Remember these? These are the ovaries of what was once a maple flower. Some plants grow delicious fruit around their seeds as the ovary swells up, like apple and pear trees. And other plants, like maple trees, the ovary is not tasty. Why do some plants grow delicious fruit around their seeds? What's the point?